there. Welcome to the Speakeasy. Today we're going into a book that I haven't done in a while. The Bloody Century. True Tales of Murder in 19th Century America by Robert Wilhelm. Today's story is going to be about H. Holmes, America's supposedly first serial killer. So stay tuned. All right, H. Holmes. I was born with the devil in me. Visitors enjoying the color and light of the 1893 World's Fair, which was called World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, had no idea that far away, Dr. Henry Howard Holmes had set up his own dark, private exhibition of death and torture, on a scale comparable to that of the fair itself. Though sometimes mistakenly called America's first serial killer, he could very well be its most prestigious. He was convicted of only one murder, but Holmes confessed to 27. The actual total, however, could have been as high as 230. Dates: 1879 to 1894. Locations: Chicago, Illinois, Irvington, Indiana, Toronto, Ontario, Philadelphia, PA. Victims: Benjamin Pitzel and an estimated 330 others. Cause of death: burning, asphyxiation, torture. Accused: Herman Webster Mudgett, Dr. Henry Howard Holmes, aka Dr. Henry Howard Holmes. Dr. Henry Howard Holmes was born Herman Webster Mudgett on May 16, 1861, in Galmanton, New Hampshire. While a student at the University of Michigan Medical School, Holmes began to hone his skills as a con artist, stealing caviters from the university and using the bodies to collect on fraudulent insurance policies. Following his graduation in 1884, he took the name H. Holmes and moved to Chicago to practice pharmacy, but actually continuing his lucrative career in fraud. Holmes took a job at the drugstore of Dr. E.S. Holton on the corner of Wallace and 63rd Street in Englewood, Illinois, south of Chicago. Holton was dying of cancer, and Holmes convinced Holton's wife to sell him the store, assuring her she could continue living upstairs after the doctor died. She did not live there very long. However, after Dr. Holton died, Holmes murdered Mrs. Holton, disposed of her body, and told her friends and relatives she had moved to California. In a lot across from the drugstore, Holmes designed and supervised construction of an enormous 3-story building, known locally as the Castle, which after his death, it was known as the Murder Castle. Okay, he made sure that none of the workers stayed on the job long enough to know the full layout of the building, which was a maze of more than 100 rooms, including trapdoors, sliding walls, false floors, airtight doors, and stairs to nowhere. He operated the castle as a hotel for visitors to the fair. In the privacy of his soundproof rooms, Holmes would torture and kill hotel guests. Some were locked in rooms fitted with gas lines, which he controlled. He would turn on the gas when they slept. Others were locked in a bank vault near his office, where he could listen to their screams as they suffocated. The bodies were dropped down a greased chute to the basement, which was outfitted with a dissecting table, a lime pit, and an enormous furnace. After removing the flesh and cleaning the bones, he would reassemble the skeletons and sell them to medical schools. This happened more often than you think back then. But digging up bodies and selling them to medical schools, it happened more often than you would think. When the fair ended, Holmes left Chicago to flee his creditors. He traveled around the United States and Canada, continuing with insurance fraud and other swindles. In Philadelphia, he and his longtime associate, Benjamin Pitzel, conspired to fake Pitzel's death for the insurance. Holmes was to procure a charred corpse and claim it was Pitzel's, burned in a laboratory explosion. Instead of following their plan, he got Pitzel drunk and then set him on fire after he passed out. Though Holmes collected the insurance money, police had been alerted to the plot, and Philadelphia detective Frank Geyer began following Holmes in his travels across America. Geyer arrested Holmes in Boston on November 17, 1894, and took him back to Philadelphia to stand trial. In the course of his investigation, Geyer had uncovered the remains of 3 of Pitzel's children. Trial, October 28, 1895. Holmes had dismissed his attorneys, choosing to handle his own defense at the trial. The Philadelphia Inquirer described his performance as vigorous and remarkable. But he failed to establish his case, and by the end of the first day he realized he was failing and brought back his 2 attorneys. The prosecution's presentation was thorough and methodical, and in the end they prevailed. Verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. Aftermath: H. Holmes was sentenced to hang. After his conviction, the Hearst newspapers paid Holmes $7,500 to tell his story. In a series of articles, he confessed to killing 27 people in Chicago. Chicago police investigated the castle, and using missing persons list and testimonies of neighbors, placed the estimated body count closer to 230. On May 7, 1896, H. Holmes was hanged at Monomossing Prison in Philadelphia. In accordance with his last wishes, Holmes's coffin was filled with cement before being nailed shut and buried in a grave 10 feet deep, with 2 feet of sand and concrete poured in before it was covered with dirt. He wanted to guarantee that no one would dissect his corpse, as he had done to so many others. There's more to the story between all this, if y'all want to look it up and read it. It's very interesting. I kind of like this stuff. I know I'm weird. I know I'm not a psychopath, but I'm not a sociopath, and I'm not a psychopath. But I do like it because I'm interested in the true crime and things like that. I wanted to be an FBI profiler, is what I wanted to be, but things didn't work out the way I wanted, and they rarely do sometimes. But hope you enjoyed. See you back soon. Bye.